Behind me here is the first appearance at a UK show of the new Aquila 44 power catamaran. So if you look behind here, you can see a number of interesting features. So first up, it's actually got bow bulbs. So you can see below the waterline here, the bulbs extend beyond the actual stem of the boat. And that's to give it greater wave cutting ability and a longer waterline length for more efficient cruising at displacement speed. And that's one of the big advantages of these power catamarans, is that because of the twin slender hulls and long waterline length, they're much more efficient at a whole different range of speeds. So this is quite happy at displacement speed. It's also immensely stable because you've got two hulls, but it will go up to a top speed of around about 20 knots. And you can cruise pretty much at any speed between those two extremes, and it's just as comfortable either way. But those bulbs should make it even more comfortable into a head sea, as well as more efficient. Now the size of this, it's just over 44 feet in length and 21 foot wide, and the UK price Inc. VAT starts at 1.42 million, or around about 1.5 million in the full Mediterranean spec. Now whilst we're here at the stern, you can see these extensions here, which are the davits for the tender, and there are a couple of pads on there that you cut out to suit the shape of the hull of your tender. And there is a crane, a 350 kilogram crane, that swings out and lifts it on and off those two davits. So you see this whole stern section is in fact cantilevered out over the water. So you can see the two hulls there, and that whole seating area is actually extended out over the water. But it does mean you get a really good size aft cockpit, big square of seating all the way around it. And the other nice thing about these is the actual cushions are integrated into a lift-up locker. So you can see there are actually hinges at the back of that with draining lockers either side, so you don't have to pop off the cushions and lift them out to get into the locker underneath. So nice big storage area, and then bathing platforms either side so that you can get down to the water and have a swim off the back. Now let's just walk around the decks while we can first of all. So another big benefit of Motorcats is these huge wide side decks, which is actually made even easier to move along because these rails are slightly flared out. So very easy to walk along the side decks. And of course a huge foredeck area up front. I rather like these. You see they've got little seat pads mounted on the guardrails, so just a lovely spot to sit and enjoy the sun. Obviously you've got a huge foredeck area here. You can put sun pads out here, a couple of bean bags. It's really to equip how you want. There's no fixed furniture up here. It's just for you to interpret whatever you want to put on there, whether it's freestanding deck chairs or bean bags or sun pads. Now there's obviously a huge amount of storage up here. Let's start with one of these side lockers. Just lift that up. Tuck the microphone cable away, and then see if I can do it. It's a bit of a stretch, but you can get across and you can see there's absolutely enormous locker down here. In fact, I think you can spec it out with a very basic crew cabin if you want, but most people just use it for vast storage. Now the other thing to note is the huge water tank here, and there's one of these in each hull, because the way most people use catamarans is they go out for a week or two and rarely go into a marina. You've got this wonderful stable living platform, so what you do want is plenty of water and battery power on board so that you don't have to constantly stop off to top up your water tanks or fuel tanks. Now this one here is actually the anchor locker, because you obviously have one central anchor, you don't have one on each hull. So there you can see there's the anchor windlass and a big anchor locker, and that actually runs out through the middle there, so it's actually a through hull anchor that you can run through there. And this little rope here is a means of making sure that it stays between the two hulls and doesn't foul the front of either of them, so just helps to keep it on a bridle nice and central, keeps it in position. Put that locker down, and then exactly the same over here. I won't lift this one, but there is another huge water tank and storage area in there, so you're never short of places to keep stuff. You could easily get, you know, paddle boards or folding bicycles or whatever you want in there. So we come back down the port deck. Thank you. And let's now go and have a look inside. Now, the other lovely thing is the way this whole cockpit area opens up into the saloon. So you can see there's a big window up above here that swings up under the flybridge overhang, and then a little fold-out bar area. So that's actually hinged. So when you want to close the window, that folds over onto the galley. But rather lovely to have these two stools, a bar looking into the galley, and a perfect spot to sit and have a drink before lunch. Here is the galley, so it's an aft galley design, very nicely laid out. There's lots of space, lots of work surface both here and on the other side. You can see there's a 1.5 sink under here, but also another big draining area under there, which is really handy actually. Often you just need somewhere to put the pots and pans before you wash them up. There is a combined oven microwave up there, storage either side, lots more storage underneath, including this rather nice little set for your cocktails by the looks of things. 2-burner grill here, hob. Lots more storage underneath, plenty of that. And under here, it's full of boat show gear at the moment, and indeed on the other side behind the actual seating area. So there's an immense amount of storage on this boat. And under here is access to the I think it's the batteries under here. I might just quickly flick this over, briefly show you. Because obviously the engines are in the hull itself, so there you can see the battery bank. And again, that's really good to see. Plenty of battery capacity in there. Means you don't have to constantly keep the generator running. 2 big freezer areas. Again, rather nice to have them in drawers like that. They're that much more accessible than rummaging around in the back of a full height one. Lots more storage all around. So this is very much still almost an extension of the galley, but it's also got controls for the entertainment system and indeed the bilges down here, the bilge pumps. Really nice big saloon area. Obviously you can make full advantage of that beam. You've got a 21-foot beam, so huge, nice wide saloon. Big seating area over to the port side. Now the table can be lowered. You can see it's on manual struts there, so that can be lowered and create an extra double berth in addition to the 3 ensuite cabins you've already got. Now there is an inside helm fitted to this boat. You don't have to have this. The main helm station is really up on the flybridge, but it's nice to be able to have the option of an indoor helm, particularly if you're using it in more northern European climes where you may need to stay indoors for a little bit. So more storage lockers there. I could go on for hours showing you all these, and there is a high-low television that pops out of there. But let's go and have a look at some of the accommodation, because this is a real wow factor on this boat. And you can see that this is a sliding door giving access to the main owner's cabin, and the main owner's cabin is forward and full beam. So that is an absolutely stunning cabin for a 44-foot boat. Look at that. There is so much space on board here. It's also very nice and light. So we've not only got the light coming through this hatch here, but you've got 2 levels. So you've got the coach roof windows as well as the actual hull windows. And what they've done is split the bathroom between both hulls. So really nice kind of dressing, almost desk area. You could set this up as a little workstation too, but also it's beautifully equipped for vanity units if you want to do your makeup, whatever it is. There's even a little light in there. That's rather nice. But really smart to have this separate area within the main cabin. So again, lots of storage everywhere you look. And in fact, this one can be fitted out with a washer dryer, as is the case here. So you can either have that just as a full height hanging locker or put your washer dryer in there. But there is just space to spare in here. Even this rather nice unit where you can put a few trinkets. Another hanging locker in there, absolutely everywhere you look. And then over on this side, you've got the television up on the bulkhead, and then come down here and you've got the bathroom itself. So it's not that, rather than splitting the bathroom, sorry I got that slightly wrong, rather than splitting the bathroom, they have put that kind of desk and dressing area over on the starboard hull, and the bathroom itself is over on the port one. So you can see here we've got the walk-in shower area, loo, basin, again nice and light, lots of hatches overhead, so get some fresh air in here too, and yet more storage behind here. I won't open all of them, but you can see what I mean. And there's also lots of access hatches to get to anything you need to within the hulls themselves. So it's very practical design as well as a comfortable one. More hatches overhead. And then if we come back through here, there are the other two guest cabins. Now these are almost mirror cabins. You can see there are steps either side of the saloon, but let's go down into the starboard one first. Before we go down, just take a moment to look. You can see you've got access to all the breaker switches on this side, and opposite here you've got all the tanks too, so very conveniently placed opposite each other, close to the entrance of the saloon. You can check on everything very easily. So dropping down into the starboard hull, this is one of the double cabins, and you can see what they've done here is that the hull, this is obviously the outer hull, this is the inner hull, and what they've done is flare that inner hull out a bit to give you extra space for the bed itself. So even though the main hull is relatively narrow, because it flares out a bit, you have got room for a full size or queen size bed facing along the hull, because that runs out over the flared section. Now the storage in all of these, the storage under the bed, I'm not sure I can access that at the moment, but I'm told there is storage under the bed, and of course ensuite bathroom too. Again, really good size, nice and light, got opening ports behind the blind, really good walk-in shower, storage under the sink, and a nice private cabin. You can see that's on a little latch there. If I just release that, you can see that slides across, so you've got the privacy of your own little onboard apartment. And then very similar over in the port hull, although in fact you get a little bit more space in here because you've got a bit of extra room, little bit of extra clearance over the bed because of the furniture above in the saloon, just gives you a bit more headroom. But again, same queen size bed, lovely big hull windows, hatch overhead, lots of storage. You can see more storage over there, and of course your own ensuite bathroom here too, exactly the same, big walk-in shower, loo in the corner, wash basin, hull windows, hatch overhead, and lots of little storage even behind the mirrors. So I was telling you about how those hulls flare out, and I think we can demonstrate that here. If we lift this up, you can see that is in fact a hatch in that flared hull. So you can see the angle, if I can just prop that up like that, you can see how that the angle of that hull stretches out rather than being a vertical hull side, and that's what gives you the space for the bed to run up over that flared section of the hull. Very clever way of getting a bit of extra space in those two guest cabins rather than being restricted by vertical hull sides on both sides. Now then, that leaves just one more area of entertainment space to show you, and that is up on the flybridge. Now, I love the layout of this. I think this is absolutely brilliant. You've got a big seating area aft around a table. That's obviously got a fold-up section there. You've got 4 cup holders in the table. Really good wet bar immediately next to it. Very nice heavy-duty mouldings. So these are built in China and extremely sturdily built. So things like that wet bar top, just beautifully moulded inside. Now it feels really heavy and sturdy. Sink here, chopping board, grill, small fridge drawer under there, bit of storage. Very well located. I like the fact there's a guardrail, a grab rail all the way around here, so you can hang on to that when you're moving about. But very nice layout there. Big hardtop overhead with these stainless steel supports so they don't get in the way or spoil your view. Got the radar arch across the back, but big, sturdy. There's no sunroof in this, but it's just a big, sturdy, hard top, providing a nice amount of shade. And then this is my favourite bit. I love the way the helm is actually on a little pod station of its own that you can move all the way around, which means you can get to all the seating, so you can have loads of people sitting around this helm area. It's a nice sociable layout. You can all come and go, you're not hemmed in at all, and you've got everything you need. And this is really, like I said, the main helm station for most boats that are certainly going to be out in hotter countries in the Mediterranean or the Caribbean. Got everything you need there, Raymarine MFD, all the repeaters, the Volvo control panel, and then this lovely seating area here. And my favourite spot of all is the way this gate swings open. So you can see that shuts up when you want to keep it safe and secure, but you can also open it up, and that gives you access down onto the foredeck from the flybridge itself. Now, I think that is absolutely brilliant. It's lovely to be able to move right through the middle of the boat like that and get to the foredeck or get to the side deck. Just makes for a really nice, easy flow around the boat. And it's actually safer to come up and down through here than moving along the side deck sometimes. You just feel more cocooned in the boat itself. So let's drop down and have a quick look at the engine bay just to wrap up the tour. Now, these are fairly full. Do you mind just giving me a hand lifting up this engine hatch? Thank you very much. So we can see here we've got the D4 320 horsepower engines. The standard engines are the 230 horsepower. With these 320s you get a higher top speed of around about 20 knots, and you've got 1100 litres of fuel, which should give you a really good cruising range, again because you're quite comfortable going at displacement speed or faster speeds with that lovely stable ride that you get on a catamaran. Now you can see the fuel tanks here. You've got fuel tank either side. This is the port one, so you've got separate fuel tanks for the port and starboard engine. There is exactly the same over here. I won't lift this up because it's full of boat show gear at the moment, but exactly the same layout. There's a separate hull, a separate fuel tank there, and in fact the generator is on this side too, so if you end up using more fuel on this side, there is a transfer pump that you can just pump the fuel across. So lots of space in there, really good access to the engines themselves. Just going to have a little look under this hatch too, if we can. And you can see yet more storage in there. So when I said there was a lot of storage on board this boat, I'm not kidding. You can absolutely fill it, and you'll still find places to put more kit. So just close that up. Don't want anybody falling down there. Thank you. Okay, let's finish up in this cockpit area. That is the Aquila 44 power catamaran. Really interesting new design. I love the way they've done those cabins. You've got 3 fantastic double ensuite cabins and that lovely flybridge area, all for around 1.1 million, including VAT. I hope you enjoyed this quick tour of the boat. We very much hope we'll sea trial it soon too. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.